So today I have Steve with me. Steve is you might say, he's the authority on all goings on of real estate. You might say, I heard that from somewhere. We don't have Drew here to fact check it though, so we'll have to go with it.
Okay, we'll go with it. Not accurate, but we'll go with it.
So how you been?
Great, man. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. It's we were talking earlier about how I got this house and everything,
Yeah.
but I thought it might be helpful to kind of have you on because I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of uncertainty right now in this business.
Definitely.
And you read the news one day and it's, rates are going to go down. They're going to, project that there's not going to be any rate increases next year. And that was from, they may actually lower at a quarter point.
Right.
And now it's like, well, there probably won't be anything. And now there's talk of, we might raise it a quarter point or two.
Right. Right.
And it's just like, it's so up in the air. And, I can't be the only one with all these questions.
No, you're definitely not. And honestly, I'm in there too. I watch it daily, and right when I think I get it, and I'm like, okay, here's what's going to happen, and then it changes. Then it's like there's this new sentiment where the interest rates are not going to be cut, and it's all going to hell in a handbasket, and everyone's freaking out, the market's flipping out. And then the next day it's like, actually, they weren't as bad as we thought. We're like, what the hell, guys? Like, what's going on? So, it's a daily battle. And this is, I would say like since COVID, it's been a very volatile, unrealistic, unreliable market. Warren Buffett can't even predict what's happening in the stock market. How can we predict what's happening in real estate or anything, because it's changed so much over the last 10 years, really.
Yeah, well, that's your first problem. If you want to go know about stocks, you're going to Warren Buffett. No.
Right.
You need to go to Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
She's got a better track record.
She has a much better track record.
Okay, so I'll have your people set her up.
Yeah.
Set you up with her, and we'll follow, and we'll both make millions.
Right. There's an account you can follow, every trade she makes. So.
Yeah, it's a Reddit. Yeah, I follow it.
Oh, you do?
I just got to start acting on it.
There you go. I was going to say, hopefully you got some money put behind it.
I don't. I talk about putting money behind it, though, and that's kind of just as good.
Right. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's, it's totally up in the air, and every day it's a different story. But where do you see it going? Because I see that, they're building houses right down the street from my house, a huge development.
Right.
And, over by my sister's house, they're still building. And I seem to have thought that there was an inventory issue not too long ago.
Yeah, there was, and and that's the part of the market changing like it has. There's a lot of people on the fence right now. And there's a lot of people that can't refi, they can't sell. There's a study that was done in California. 80% of the homes have a 4% rate or lower. 80%.
Yeah.
So if you're in a market where the rates are 6.5%, 7.5%, 8% for some who have a lower credit score, you may be sitting on a great rate that you got, 4 or 5 years ago, and you're on a 30-year mortgage. Where are you going to move? You're looking at double payment for the same house.
Yeah.
Unless you move into a smaller house out of the state.
Right.
So a lot of people are landlocked. They're stuck. They can't go anywhere. Maybe they're forced to because of their job. Maybe they have assumable rates, and we're seeing deals that there's some rates that are assumable, and people are able to make those transactions. But it's just a small percentage, so you're not really going to see a whole lot of it. It's not going to move the market. So
what do you mean by assumable?
Assumable meaning you have let's say you have a 3% rate that you got 4 years ago when the rates were down, and now you need to sell, and your lender says, well, as long as we can qualify the new party, we'll let them assume that rate. And there may be some fees of the transactions, but it's possible. And it's happened. I haven't seen any of the transactions come across my desk.
So let me know if this is right. So you can buy a house and try to keep the seller's rate?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
It's a thing.
Wow.
It's right on your note. It'll say on the note if the loan is assumable or not. So if you whip out your paperwork and you look at your note, you should be able to see it on there.
Oh shit, that's a hell of a selling point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you could have just shitty credit and you could just buy this house.
Well, that's the thing. You'd have to have good credit probably. You have
to at least still qualify for the loan.
You have to be able to qualify for the loan. You
Right.
can't just take over their payments per se that way. There is some other stuff. There's a whole community called Sub2, and they're doing that, but that's more kind of like on a fix and flip aspect, but it's another crazy realm of real estate that's happening more recently in the past couple years that I've been watching called Sub2. So there is that kind of thing happening, but it's more of people who just want to get out of that house, and maybe they don't have really any equity in the house, and whoever's going to take over that payment and note is just in good faith taking it over going forward. So that's different. It's a different thing, but those are out there too.
That's got to be a super exception to the rule then, huh?
Well, those Sub2 transactions are not necessarily on lender approval. You're basically building a contract with the seller, and they're hightailing it out and just saying, I'm going to trust that you're going to pay this loan, and you kind of have a contract between them. And sometimes the lenders will find out, and they're like, well, hey, we're going to take you to court, and you just kind of battle them. But those are like investor deals, so there's like this other real estate investor group. This guy Pace Morby on YouTube. He's been doing them, and he's kind of like got the bigger channel of them. And one of my buddies who's an investor, fixer, flipper, I was talking to him like, is this a real thing? I'm like, dude, are people doing this? He's like, absolutely. That's the cream of the crop. If you can get that deal, that's like the best. It's hard to find the seller that wants to do that because most of the cases they do have some equity in the home. It's for some of those transactions that they're trying to get out of the house, and they want out, but they're stuck to this mortgage and they can't sell it because maybe there's some other stuff. There's no equity. They're trying to sell it for too much, or who knows? But you got to find the right seller for that.
Yeah, see, I told you learn new things every time, right?
Yeah.
Chalk that up to a new thing I learned.
There you go.
But so like this particular area, the Sacramento, the Elk Grove, like I guess you could say Roseville area too, like everybody seems to want to be moving to here. Everybody's getting out of the Bay. It's I'm not the only one of the refugees that are up here now.
Right. And when everyone's coming from different reasons, I mean, first of all, the homes are cheaper. You can actually afford a home here. And it's still cheaper here than it is in the Bay Area, and that's going to be a big part of it.
And I have to think that it's only a matter of time before, it gets to be Bay Area prices because people are moving up here.
Yeah.
But it's another thing, it's hot up here, and it just seems like where it's really hot, it's cheap. I just don't like the heat.
But it gets hot 3 weeks out of the year. It's unbearable heat, but and our unbearable heat that we get here, okay, maybe 105 for 2 weeks, and we're like, oh my God, I can't take it anymore. Go to Arizona. And then just, then you'll be coming back here and you'll be like, hey, it's not so bad.
No, I went to visit my dad. He lives in Arizona. Right. I went to visit him. And this was in, I don't know, October or something.
Right.
And it was still I'm packing shorts. I'm not having anything but sleeves, you know, and it was 85, 90-ish. But I told him when he moved down there, I was like, old man, I am just not going to ever come visit you. So you're going to come visit me. Okay. I'm never going to come visit. And I hadn't until most recently because, my youngest daughter had never been anywhere. Neither one of them had been on a plane. So it's we went and
had to do that.
Yeah. Family trip to visit Gramps.
Yep.
And it was fun, but I don't know how people do it there.
It's usually better if you go in April, or
it's way hot there.
Oh, is it in April?
Yeah.
I don't even know. I was thinking maybe winter. Yeah.
Yeah. But
winter gets cold there.
I prefer that.
Yeah.
I prefer that. And there's less scorpions out.
That's true.
And there's, not that they'll really bother you, but I've heard people in Arizona say there's only two Arizonas. There's either the Arizona that smells like cow shit or there's the Arizona that has scorpions.
Oh, okay.
Because the scorpions don't like the cow smell. You know, apparently they hate it too.
Nice.
So yeah, but I mean, yeah, Arizona, it's getting more expensive down there too, though.
Yeah, it is. Phoenix. Yeah.
You know, and Florida, you can't move to Florida, you can't move to Texas anymore.
Right. Well, Texas and Florida prices are coming down. They overbuilt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's one thing I'm noticing is that there's way more inventory in those areas. As of like the last couple of months, it's starting to go up. You know, and even Austin prices are coming down because they overbuilt, and it was a crazy frenzy over there. You know, all these relocation areas. I mean, people are getting out of California, they're going to Idaho, you know, and Austin and Florida, Tennessee, like all these, you know, relo areas. They definitely are. The prices are coming down. I've been watching Florida.
Yeah, who doesn't watch Florida?
I know. Come on.
I mean, come on. We all follow Florida Man on on Instagram in some way or another.
Yeah, Florida Man.
But yeah, and I haven't even noticed there's a couple people moving back to California from Texas.
Yeah.
Very few. It's a trickle. It's not like the people that left.
No, yeah.
But it's certain, like some people were just like, I don't like it here.
Yeah,
or, you know,
they probably like to visit the beach sometimes, and I don't think the beaches in Texas are that great.
Well, did you see? I think maybe it was a couple days ago. There was a massive tornado in Houston.
Oh yeah,
and like it was like out of a movie.
Yeah,
there were things flying, breaking windows.
Probably mostly California's flying. Like they're probably in there. What do I do? How did I get here? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they come from earthquake area, and we sleep through those every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird to, I mean, because I would be lying if I didn't say that I floated the idea to the wife, and of course it didn't take long for her to shoot me down.
Well, yeah.
But during COVID, everybody was it was such an interesting time because everybody was at a crossroads and everybody had the same thing to do. Right. Everybody had no work. Everybody had uncertainty. Everybody had the thought of like, well, this is the city and it's kind of scary if all the stores run out of things. So I'm going to go and try to grow things. And it's like, you think that you can move somewhere, grow things in a month and have like enough food to eat. Right. That's so like, that's such a pipe dream. Well,
everyone had so much time in their hand. Mm-hmm. So it was about, I'm going to get chickens. How many people got chickens? And then
I did.
Goats. I got chickens too, bro. Yeah. But my wife's Ukrainian, so that's just, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they know how to survive.
Yes, they do.
They've had to.
Well, Chernobyl.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
they've gotten through it.
That would have been way worse if it weren't for just this one guy. And I think it was like, he was kind of like a bigger guy, but he was able to like turn the water on or shut the water, something with the water. And it would have been basically turned into like a nuclear bomb disaster. Probably, yeah. Rather than like the fallout that it was. Yeah. So, man. Wish I knew his name. If Drew was here, he'd look it up. But, shout out to that guy. Yeah. R.I.P. Probably from radiation poisoning, but
most likely.
Yeah.
But dude, there's people that still live there now.
Yeah.
And they've been living there for years. They came back and moved in and they're like, this is my home. I'm not leaving. And they seem okay.
Well, I've also read that the radiation has dissipated a lot more than they thought it would. Yeah. Over the time, which is encouraging because we're right around the corner from that World War III.
Yeah, we're there.
We are there, and
we're there, man. We're closer than we ever wanted to be.
That's kind of a debate in itself, right? Are we in World War III or are we not? Right. I say we kind of are because the world is at war in multiple places, and it's very easily going to break out into another one of three other places. Right. Right. And each side is on one side. Right. Nobody's like, oh well, we're going to cover these. Everybody is on the NATO side or the like non-NATO side. And it's something that all of us right now are too comfortable to survive. Right. Really. I mean, I hate to say that because that's a downer. And I don't like to be a downer. You hear that enough, right? Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Well, it seems like we have a fly guest.
We get a visitor. Maybe he's a producer.
Yeah, he's probably he probably has an argument about while we're in World War III or not. But yeah, so I mean, we're pretty much there. Yeah, with the Israel Hamas thing, with the Ukraine Russia thing, China Taiwan, and then you got like Venezuela wanting to take different areas around them, and
then we have the Iranian president just dying in a helicopter accident.
And they blame the U.S.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, come on, man. They blamed us for sanctioning parts from them.
Right.
Like because we shut down AutoZone.
Yeah.
You're gonna blame us? Don't send him up into something that needs a new alternator.
Right. Exactly.
You know, I mean, change the oil in the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe look at it. Who's building these helicopters? Boeing?
Maybe.
Might have to edit that one out there because
yeah.
I don't want to get suicide. Hey, I love my life. Just FYI, everybody. Okay. But yeah, I was surprised at that too, because I mean, obviously, the president of Iran isn't really the guy.
No, it's
right.
Ayatollah
He's number two, but
right. But still, he was not a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy was. What do they call him? The mauler or whatever.
Well, he was really good at, I guess, putting down protests and opposition and things like that. You know,
he had a job to do and he did it well.
Yeah. But then you got Haiti. Haiti now is having the they're in kind of like a civil war right now.
Yeah,
because they got taken over, and the guy that took him over, his name was Barbecue Shariziak.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's a nickname and it's not because, he
not because he visited, Kentucky or
no, it's because he likes to burn villages. Unfortunately, he has that kind of pension.
Wow.
And it's just I don't know why really people are fighting so much right now.
Right.
Is it just the right time because they think maybe the U.S. won't do anything?
Right.
Are they trying to fight for resources, trying to fight for land?
Right.
I mean, some of it you could say it's resources but the two countries that would be fighting over resources would be the U.S. and China, and we're not fighting.
Right.
Yet.
Yeah.
Looking at you. Looking at you, Winnie the Pooh. And it seems like, it's just one team against the other, and it's not, that's the way that it's kind of painted, right? But it's not that easy.
Right.
Right? Because you can go, and I actually had a guy that he left the Russian army and he came over here during right when the war started, right? Because he had a bunch of family in Ukraine. It's just,
that's hard. Yeah.
It's right across. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And you'll get a response that you can understand.
Yeah.
We both have kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, how bad does it have to get to where we have to like put literal skin in the game?
Hopefully not soon.
Yeah.
Especially with our kids.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like the weapons of war have already have changed. Right. World War II, battleships, fighters, but now it's like drones, it's lasers.
Yeah.
It's
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. It's fighting with robots. It's like how my robots can kill more of your people than your robots can kill of my people.
Yep. Well, it's not even just, modern warfare like that. It's more of like, we're going to have what we're probably going to see in the next 10 years with AI and that being used with deep fakes and
quantum computing.
Quantum. I mean, dude, like it's crazy. Yeah.
And that's basically the race, right? Because as soon as somebody cracks that quantum computing and is able to basically render all encryption useless.
Yeah.
That's a scary, and there was, we may be picking up the ice cream man in the back.
I think we are.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So yeah, pretty much in 30 seconds, my kids will burst through that door and ask for ice cream. But luckily, hopefully, Auntie Jenna has some cash.
Maybe there's some extra loud music going on there to deafen the ice cream tone.
Yeah, I don't know.
They have that thing at a certain pitch, though. I'm telling you.
Well,
they can break through anything.
Well, they're blasting Frozen in there, so hopefully, they can just let it go. But yeah, man, it's the uncertainty in everything is world politics, domestic politics, economy, real estate. Yeah. Everything is so because nobody knows what's going to happen. Everything is relying on one thing or another, and then lots of things are relying on who wins the White House in a couple months.
Right.
And
that's where we're at with the rates too. I mean, to circle back on that, I mean, we really won't know. I mean, that's kind of what it's really going to hinge on. You know, what's going to happen with the rates? Are they going to, you know, try and drop the rates just a hair? I know they're going to try to make the economy look a little bit better. You know, for Biden, I think that's most likely going to happen. You know, that's my best guess, getting back to the rate portion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of brought to light. Well, I guess maybe just to the younger population, it's kind of brought to light, like the Wizard of Oz, that is the chairman of the Fed.
Right.
You know, he operates behind this curtain, and he just like, he does really whatever he wants, whatever he thinks is going to help the country or help the economy.
Right.
And that's so much power. Like that's a one-man Supreme Court.
It is
right there. Yep. Because if he agreed with Biden or if he agreed with Trump or whatever, you know what? Jack the rates up. Let's get this guy out.
Yeah.
Or, you know, drop him and let's talk about how good it is here.
Right. Right.
You know, how it's booming again and everything. It's so much power for one guy to have.
Yeah.
And
harder to do that in this type of market, though, with the job numbers and everything the way they are.
True.
That's the only caveat is he is a little bit tied right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, people like to, especially right now, I'm noticing a kind of an attempt to change narrative a little bit to say like, well, inflation isn't that bad, but there's multiple ways you can look at it. And if you're looking at it by the stock market, it's not going to look as bad.
Right.
If you look at it based off of sheer prices going up and that bottom dollar and what your dollar's worth now, then yeah, it's pretty bad.
Right. And that seems to not be getting any better. I feel like everything's still expensive. Like, and for me, I'm like, has inflation come down? I haven't seen one thing go down in price.
No.
At all. You know, so that's how I gauge inflation is like, what am I, you know, spending? Like, how much is a gallon of milk for me? How much is, you know, food for me? I know my grocery bills have like doubled. Yeah. At least. Maybe tripled, you know.
It used to be like you go to Target and you spend $100, you go to the grocery store, you spend $100, you'd be like, wow. Yeah. I'm, you know, good for a week.
No, now it's like 3 things.
Yeah. You have dinner for 2 days.
Right.
You know, and it's like, well, we're eating mac and cheese and dino nuggets. You know, it ain't like we're having filet mignon or anything like that. It's just regular food, and it's just all up. You know, gas is actually not as bad, but that's one metric that has been hammered down for the past like 4 years. I remember, remember at the beginning of Biden's term where you had all those stickers saying "I did this."
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Now I don't see those anywhere, but you know,
I might have had some of those and been posting them on some gas stations here and there. I was pretty pissed about the gas prices myself.
Yeah,
I drive an SUV, so like it hurts extra. You know?
I do too. Yeah, although it is 2-wheel drive and it only has the 4.8 in there.
Oh yeah.
But I don't, you know, I mean, I don't really drive that much. A tank of gas lasts me at least a week.
Wow.
You know, because my commute is. You know,
doesn't need a car.
Yeah, I do take the kids to school, and so that's kind of like one of the good things about working from home and having like a regular job is, you know, I can be the dad and make up for that time, you know, and now the wife is the one that works late, and she's got a she has the glamorous one, and she has like, you know, that comes with the price that she's seeing now, you know, and it's just. She's missing out on a lot of things, and she doesn't like it. It bugs her, right? You know, because it bugs her probably more than it bugs me, because mom, you know, But you know, I'm thankful for that. You know, just getting to see them, and sometimes they fight and they shit their pants, and it makes a fucking mess. And you know, sometimes they finger paint with sunscreen on the carpet.
Yeah,
and well, it's just one. It's just Ruby. Aurora doesn't do that anymore.
One notorious one, right? Yeah, it's always that one.
It's public enemy number one.
Yeah.
But you know, gotta love her. She's just, you know, she's got that redhead flair, and sometimes I don't know if I'd be surprised if I saw her head spin around. You know, sometimes. But
those are the days you're gonna miss, man. I'm telling you, I've been through that myself. Now my kids are 15 and 17, and they literally will just stay in their room all freaking day. And like you come here like, is my kid even here? Like, what the heck? And you have to like scream at them 40 times to like have them come down. And they're like, what? Yeah, it's a different thing. I mean, from them always wanting to be on your side and everything, I look back and I'm like, you know what, those days were actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
They sucked sometimes, but they were pretty cool.
Yeah, they do. And sometimes when it's just like, they just randomly say like, I love you, Dad. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
All right, well, I love you too.
That doesn't happen now.
Yeah, man. You see, I am trying to like live in that moment.
Yeah.
Because, when I was like 17, 16, people always told me, oh, live it up. You're only young once. And so I did, almost went to jail and everything, and it was just, so now it's like I have that again where, it's the toddler and she just yells a lot and there's not a quiet scream. It's just, she stubs her toe or you take a crayon away or she cuts a hand off and it's the same sound.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's the same.
The blood curdling scream.
Yep.
And now it doesn't even bother the dog.
The dog's used to it.
And they're supposed to have really sensitive hearing.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's a trip, because last time when I worked, you guys might not notice, but me and Steve, I used to work actually for Steve at Notaries Express.
That's right.
I also used to be a notary, so I would kind of do a little bit of a switch there sometimes.
That's right.
Have the signings come in, send some signings out,
There you go.
There you go. Bob's your uncle, and you got your loan docs. But yeah, and so when I worked there, I didn't have kids, or I didn't have. God, I don't even think I had a girlfriend. And it was just. It's so much like you evolve.
Right.
And like I was a Charmander and now I'm a Charizard kind of thing. And, it's just, it's such a trip. And I always say, like, if you have the chance, have some kids.
Right.
And the world right now is running low on kids.
Yes.
And
with all the craziness that's happening.
With everything.
With everything, but also like going down another road, like there was a study that shows like with all the transgenderism and all this, all this stuff that's been happening, like the dismantling of the nuclear family, we're looking at, less and less kids going forward.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of it's multiple things, right? It's that, it's, you could say you could factor in abortions too, but you could also, it's also a cultural thing right now where, and like I have family that is like this, to where it's just not the right time. It's just, I don't have enough money yet, or I don't have the house that I want, or I don't have a big enough car for it.
But that's funny because it's never going to be the right time.
It never is.
It never is. And that's for anyone who tries to do anything. If you're trying to start a business, it's never going to be the right time, ever. The best time is to start it and figure it out, or to have kids. You're going to make the money because you have mouths to feed now. Yeah. And you're going to figure it out. Some don't, but for the most part, the responsible ones, even the somewhat responsible ones, will figure it out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was with my wife just for not even a year, and it was Father's Day, and she was like, I feel sick. I think there's a chance that I could be pregnant, but let's pull in here and I'll take a pregnancy test so I know if I can drink or not. Cause we were headed to my mom's house for Father's Day dinner.
Nice.
And we're in the TJ Maxx parking lot, very romantic. And so she comes out and she's like, it's positive. And I was like, there was like a silence, and it was like a debate going on in my head. Like, oh my God, what do you do? What do you asked her if she wants to keep it? So I did. Like, so do you want to keep it? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, so then there was another 10 minutes of silence, and there was another debate in my head of like, what are you going to do? Right. Like, are you okay with this? Like, and it was like, I am okay with this. And that was surprising in itself. Like, I think I'm okay with this.
Right.
So then, go there, and my mom's like, now all the dads can line up, because my brother had he was adopting a kid. And so he was there, my dad was there, my stepdad. And so then I got in line, and she was like, you can't be. And I was like, and she was like, no.
Oh, that's kind of a cool way to tell everyone.
Yeah.
All the fathers get over here. You're like, I guess I'm over there now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, TJ Maxx parking lot. And, we lived in a 1-bedroom, $1 million house
Yeah.
in San Mateo, and when we had our second kid, it was like, she didn't have a room there. So for her first couple months, she was sleeping in the front room on her carrier. Just one of us would take turns sleeping and watching her,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I get it. And it's just, you have to just do it.
Right.
And know that you're going to fail in some way.
Right.
At first.
Yeah.
And you're going to fail in some way later on. And you're going to constantly fail at different things.
That's the only way we learn.
Yeah. Learn way more from failure than you do from success.
That's right. That's for sure.
Gandhi said that.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so people have been having kids and non-people have been having kids.
Right.
Creatures have been having kids since the beginning of time.
Right.
And people had it a lot worse than I do. And they were able to make it work.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the logic behind it, but it's very hard to explain that to somebody that has planned their life accordingly for this whole way. Like, oh, I'm going to major in this and I'm going to get a job in that. And then I'm going to meet a girl. Then we're going to date for a couple years and travel. And then we're going to get married. And then by the time you get over there, it's like, they can't be 50 years old squirting babies out.
No. Well, and I think, there's the secular way that's definitely like, I'm going to try and plan my life. And then there's God's way, and like how your life gets planned. And it's more divine than, we'd like to think. And I mean, that's my perspective more or less. And even how it was for me. I mean, I always wanted to have kids. That was always my dream. So my first girlfriends had kids.
Yeah.
Not my first ones, but my more established, girlfriends that I was dating ended up having kids. So my wife now, her daughter was 6 years old when I met her. And so when we had a kid, it was not, planned per se, but I was not ready. I did not have a business. I was selling cable for a buddy of mine for his company.
Selling cable and laying cable, huh?
I was like, yes, exactly. And, for me, it was definitely not the right time. I had no idea what the heck I was going to do, but I was super excited. I'm like, this is God's plan for me and this is what it's going to be. And it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, it's all about adapting. Right. Because my sister just had a baby and he's like maybe a month now. Right. But, I think she was on that kind of side of planning it out. This is not the right time, blah, blah, blah. And, it happens, and she right now it's like, she wouldn't have it any other way.
Right.
Because that baby would have been different in some way or maybe not had baby at all.
Right.
And it's just, she wanted to join the club so bad, because she was an aunt for a while and she was just kind of relegated.
Oh yeah. She got the itch.
Yeah. She was like almost gonna be like, okay, I'm just cool with being the aunt.
Right.
Right. But then boom, just as you get comfortable,
that's right.
Guess what? Yeah. Curveball.
Right, yep.
Life's all about those curveballs.
That's right.
And just like I said, just adapt.
Yep.
It's I don't necessarily have a business or anything. I'm gonna have this. It makes me $0.
That's all right.
But it's like
eventually it'll catch up and at least pay for itself.
Well, well, I mean, everything, kind of like what we were talking about is just do it and stumble.
Right.
Just tell yourself that couple of the first episodes are going to look like shit.
Yep.
Hell, maybe this one does. Maybe in a year, maybe I'll be like, man.
What the heck, man?
Yeah. Look at those old microphones I had and those janky tripods, which actually are brand new. I just got them. But
they'll be janky then.
Yeah, they'll be janky then. Sure. But when you started your business, how did that go? How did you even decide to start a business?
Well, it was actually my wife. It was really her original idea to start the company. So we both worked in escrow. That's actually how we met. We were cubicle neighbors at Land America Commonwealth and Martinez. And, you know,
you're dipping your pen in company ink, of course.
of course.
Naturally.
Of course.
Free
naturally.
ink.
Yes, free ink. I mean, it was there. You know, how can I take it? Come on. You know, for us, I mean, I wasn't even a notary at the time. I was just working in the industry. So I was working on the escrow side in the back end. And my wife was working for an escrow officer. She was a junior EO. And we were giving business to other signing services. So there was one other signing service that we were constantly giving business to. She was mostly. And she was just cutting checks all day long. And because I was working on the funding side, I was just cutting checks all day long for this other signing service. We're like, what the heck is this? Like, what are they doing? And a couple of my buddies were notaries, so they were going out doing closings. And then eventually, when I left to go sell cable, you know, she was like, hey, let's start this up. And I became a notary, and then I started marketing. And we, you know, were together for a couple years at that point, and decided to, you know, go all in. So when we started generating enough business from a couple local, our first client was like a MLM. There was this MLM like lender.
Ooh,
WFG Financial or something like that. Oh, not WFG, the title company. It's like it's W. It was like a World Financial. It was like a different company that was very similar, but not the same.
So they just rode off the coattails of the name recognition.
I don't remember what it was. It was just a funny thing. It was in Sacramento. I go to these meetings, and there were like a bunch of Hmong. It was like a Hmong family that were like this group that were selling loans. And this is when the first loans of these like interest rate teaser loans. So they were like, hey, all you got to do is pay. They were actually built for investors that were flipping homes, is what these actual loans, when they came out, were built for, were people who were flipping, and you can choose a rate. So your rate is like 6%, but you could choose to pay a 2% rate. So that way you could float the loan a little bit longer while you're rehabbing the property. That's what they were meant for. Well, you get that into the hands of the general public, and they're like, oh, all I have to do is pay this lowest interest rate. That's my rate. And people just didn't understand it. They were sold improperly. It was a horrible idea. So what happens is you pay it on that lowest rate for so long, and then they recast the loan. And now you're stuck paying all that, whatever you weren't paying gets tacked on to the back of the loan.
Oh.
And people didn't know. And then that was right before 2008 and all the defaults. So anyways, so that's during that time. But we started our company right around then. And my first company was this multi-level company. And I was asking who their escrow company was. And that actual customer that I found from that company, that was my first client, is actually still my client today.
Really?
Yeah. And she's been with me. I mean, we've had our company for 18 years now, and she sends me business on a regular basis.
I won't name drop. I think I know who it is.
Oh.
I think I do.
You might remember that name, because that was one of my oldest clients, and she's been with me forever. Her assistant ended up working for us for a while. She was doing our payroll, or not our payroll, but our payables for a long time. And then she moved out of state. You know, longest, best clients that we've had. Escrow always has a tendency to pull people in. So.
It's ebbs and flows. I mean, I know that it was, because when 2013? Mm-hmm. That was a bit of an ebb or a flow. What was it? There was something that
2013 was insane.
Yeah.
So when you were working for us, I mean, for us, insane, because we have a network of notaries. Like right now, we have like 30,000 notaries in our database, and probably about a good 10,000 that we use on a regular basis throughout the year. And during the time when you worked for us, we were closing at our peak. I mean, we were closing 3,500 loans a month, which was insane. And we were doing that with like 12 people in this dingy Class D above WPLJs.
Yeah, it was right above a bar.
Right above the bar. You know, they have the tranny night. You can go down and like...
Yeah. Are you automatic or a stick?
Yeah. Exactly. You have to maybe step over some throw up in the morning to get into the office, you know?
Yeah.
And it was funny because it was like unexpected in the town of like Walnut Creek. Because Walnut Creek is it's such a nice area. And they're like, oh, where was your office? It was actually right above WPLJ's.
Yeah.
Do you remember what WPLJ stands for?
Oh, it's a drink.
It is.
Right? It's lemon juice is the LJ.
Yep.
Is it white something?
White port.
White port and
White
lemon juice.
port,
That's right.
Lemon juice.
That's right.
Yeah. I've never had one.
I never have either. And I
Yeah.
didn't know it was a real drink until somebody told me that's what those letters meant.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
it's a different bar now, though.
oh, really?
Yeah. I just drove by it like a month ago.
What is it
It's
now?
like, I don't even know. Just some other bar. They actually took over the front parking lot, and they have like, I guess you can like, they kind of gated it off, and like they like hang out out there and part of the bar scene.
Oh, that probably was from COVID. They probably had to have some kind of
it did
outside
that,
seating.
and then, but now it's like part of the whole experience for that
Yeah,
place.
that's, you know what? That's another thing. That's kind of funny because I've been noticing like when I go back to San Mateo and I go like to my old area and there's, used to be a lot of parking, but
Right.
during COVID they like nixed one side of the parking and just had like outside seating.
Right.
Well, that's still there.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
Yeah, they haven't gotten rid of it.
yeah, you just
I was just in Santa Barbara, and this last weekend I had a conference, or not a conference, but a meeting this last week, and went down there, and we're walking around Santa Barbara. I haven't been to Santa Barbara in probably 10 years. We skip over it. We end up going to LA or Orange County. So we go over there, and they literally have like blocked the downtown streets off completely now. So where you used to be able to drive, there's a whole block section where they completely blocked it off. And now it's like they have like those, extended, kind of patios that they put in the streets and and everything. So I'm like, yeah, COVID's changed a lot of cities, even like big downtowns like Santa Barbara, even Ventura, downtown Ventura, they did the same thing.
I mean, we're going to look back on that and it's going to be a time that's really studied for many different reasons.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest ones is going to be that was when a lot of people lost faith in the institutions, not only the media, but in big pharma, in basically any kind of administration.
Government. Yeah. Whatever they had for government is like really diminished.
Yeah. And it's just like, holy shit. They really expose themselves as like how much money you're taking from all these guys and how it's not really the news and it's just corporate media and it's paid for things. And that's kind of like the rise of independent media and podcasting, like here we are right now.
Here we are. Yeah.
But that is going to be such a turning point. That's such a huge turning point that we're going to look back on. And even right now, it seems so far behind, but you'll get people. And what I've also noticed is that nobody really talks about that anymore. Nobody talks about those early times in COVID where it's like we were all stuck in there. And like, what'd you do? Well, I made stupid ass TikTok videos while I was dancing with celebrities,
right?
And that was it. And that's basically that whole time is basically a run on TikTok video.
Yeah.
And it's going to be studied for,
and probably a time that a lot of people want to forget. I think so. It was not really a good time. And it was horrible actually. And for a lot of people, they lost their jobs, and then the way it rolled through with mandatory vaccines for certain companies and people who were like, no, that's infringing on my civil rights and I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. And I don't want to do it for a job. Like the healthcare workers that ended up getting fired, I thought there would be a lot more repercussion from that legally, standing from like, employment law, but there was nothing. It's weird.
Yeah. There was it was like everything was kind of thrown out the window.
Yeah.
And it turned people into like, I don't know, everybody just became that guy that told the teacher at the end of the class that they didn't assign homework.
Right.
And it's just, you had people watching you. It was like, it was a very uncomfortable time.
Yeah.
Families getting split up, fighting, divorces.
Well, yeah. And conflicting, just going to the grocery store. Mm-hmm. I remember like accidentally touching an apple and putting it back.
We got him here.
Oh my
everybody.
God, it was me.
We got him here.
Well, like literally, like or like you're trying to fill a watermelon. Do I want this one? And it's like, don't do that. Now you got to buy it. Mm-hmm. And people were crazy about it. Mm-hmm. You know, were you a masker? Were you a non-masker? Like the whole thing was just, it was horrible. It was a horrible time.
Yeah. And even if you didn't really like wearing masks and you went in to like, let's say Home Depot or somewhere and everybody else had a mask, you just still felt out of place.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not the kind of person that's like, I'm not going to wear a mask. I hope somebody comes up to me. You know, like,
Right.
I'm 95 years old now. I don't have time for that shit. You know, those days are behind me.
Right.
And I just wanted to go to Home Depot, and I had to go there almost every damn day because of this house.
Right.
You know, every day I was in there for something, and it was like, I don't want to wear this same sweaty mask that smells like my nasty breath.
Do we know, isn't doing anything?
Yeah.
It's not doing a dang thing.
It wasn't.
No.
And I mean, people still do it, right? There's still certain people that they have the mask on and they're alone in their car.
Yeah, which is, I always look for the Uber sticker. Are they an Uber? That's the only reason it would make sense now. Come on, guys. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I hope you're listening because
I'm
really,
a safe guy.
really stop, please.
Yeah. And then you look back and there was all these, during the beginning, there was all those, like people were being creative, trying to do things like wearing a basically like a spacesuit.
Yeah.
Or like plastic all over and it's just, what a clown
I like the
show.
bead masks. Those were funny.
Or sometimes people had the mask and like they had a hole cut out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, bro. It was so silly.
But then, when they had the shutdown, like my grandma called me, and my grandma watches the news a lot.
Yeah.
So she's always worried.
Yeah.
And she calls me and they're like, they're going to shut everything down. I was like, they can't shut everything down. Well, they shut everything down that day.
Down. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, then everybody realized, oh, I gotta get a gun. Can I borrow your gun?
Yeah.
Not how this works. You had to have a gun beforehand. And actually, ever since then, the good thing is, my wife is kind of like got serious about having survival stuff on hand.
Right.
And like planning for that.
Right.
That's kind of a good thing that's come out of it.
Did you buy a cow?
Did we? No, we've got chickens though. We got chickens. She wanted to get a cow. You do?
We got a half cow.
Oh, with the little ones?
No. It's in the freezer.
Oh.
Come on, bro.
So it ain't getting any bigger.
I know it ain't getting any bigger. It's only getting smaller. And believe it or not, so we bought it in COVID. I still have some of that cow.
Really?
Yeah, but we ate most of it. What's left is like the roasts, the Swiss steaks. Some of the stuff you're like, I'm going to make a chicken fried steak, I guess, today.
That will make a stew.
Yeah, stew.
That one will be also a stew.
Yeah, I've been grinding more meat lately, but
really?
I still have some of it, and it was actually good. But I may have to get another cow if there's another pandemic.
Damn. Yeah, well, that's another thing. People took up hunting. I know I got some chickens from it. I'll introduce it to the ladies.
Yeah. How many you got?
I had 6.
Oh, okay.
We have 5 now.
That's cute. I have 30.
Well, we named them. We named them. Yeah. Let me introduce you to Chicky Minaj.
Chicky Minaj.
Yeah. She's a favorite.
That's funny.
And Jennifer Lopez, she was sitting on the eggs.
I like it.
And Margaret Hatcher, she was the one that passed away.
Bro, I may steal some of these names. These are awesome.
Madeline Albright is still there. She's one of the Reds. And then who did we have? We had Eggy Azalea. But then that rounds out the crew. I was trying to get a rooster, and this area has a lot of people with chickens, so they also have people letting roosters go. So you might like stumble upon one.
Oh, okay.
And like my wife was like, "Hey, there's a rooster down here." It was like 2 blocks down. So me and my daughter walked. I had a blanket, to throw on the rooster. Yeah. And I was just thinking, like, when I was chasing that rooster around, number one, like you're watching Rocky, and wow, it looks a lot easier when he's doing it. And number two, like, I really wish I could just throw a Pokeball at this thing and you just catch it that way. But, trying to throw a blanket on this guy and he's dodging and weaving, and I ended up not getting him.
I was going to say, did you get the shit?
No, I did not get him. I went back 2 days later and it was just a pile of
feathers.
Rooster that got ran over by a car or something, So it's like, I tried to save you. I offered you a paradise,
Well, the baby chick roosters are almost free.
Yeah.
If you could find them at some of because the place where we got our chickens, they sell rooster, the ones that they can sex properly and determine if it's a boy or girl. They sell them for like $1.
Yeah. We originally were gonna get a rooster, and the like him fertilizing the eggs was secondary because the chickens, they started fighting, and we needed somebody to kind of regulate in there,
right.
and that was the main reason we wanted to bring him in there.
Yep.
But we probably will end up, because we bought some fertilized eggs, and one of our chickens was broody, so we put them in there underneath her, and just to see if they would hatch. But she got up to eat some food, and then another chicken, fucking Eggy Azalea, went in there and stomped on the eggs like a jackass. Like, stomped on the eggs. Like, what is your problem? What's your problem with creating life?
That's funny.
And you went in there, stomped the eggs, and one of them was like chirping, like.
Oh, it was like.
And it chirped. It like didn't last the night.
Wow.
So we're probably gonna just stick some chicks in there and see if they really notice. They probably will, but.
I don't know how that works, but I haven't gotten down that level. Our chickens, we just got like a month and a half ago.
Oh,
and
really?
We got them as chicks, and we bought 30 of them, and we ended up with like 31. It's always in between 29 and 31 when we count them.
Oh, okay. One of them's always hiding.
Yeah, exactly. And her dad always had chickens, so we didn't have. She's been asking me for a damn coop for years. And I'm like, your dad has chickens. We don't need we just give them food, like chicken food. And then we get our chickens from him. It's like the store.
Yeah.
We don't have to do anything for these chickens.
Why buy the cow if you get the milk for free?
Exactly. We're getting it. And no, she wanted the chicken. So I built a coop, and now I'm like, I have to make this thing like seamless. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to feed them on a regular basis. I don't want to be out there every day. So I built a watering system that I have a 50-gallon rainwater jug that feeds them their water, that I don't ever have to really do anything, so their water's always prepped. Yeah. And then my father-in-law built me like this big food kind of thing that we could stick like a 50-pound and a half bag in there, so it'll last them a good solid week. Right now with 30,
you get issues with like mice or rats getting in there?
I just got some cats.
Oh,
yeah. So we just got 3 kittens. That's going to help with that problem because we have 5 acres. So on the 5 acres, it's there's a lot of field rat, and then we also have snakes, and then we have coyotes, everything over there.
Yeah. Well, cats are okay at catching mice, but that chickens, if they see the mouse,
oh yeah,
it's over.
Yeah.
A cat will play with the mouse for a little while and maybe kill it or eat it or whatever, or bring it to your doorstep. But a chicken is all business.
Yeah.
They come there and just boom, that thing hits and that's it.
Yep.
That's gone. They see red, they're like boom, and they'll take it right from a cat.
Wow.
They don't care.
That's awesome.
A chicken will not care. They don't give a shit. Yeah, and
we get a lot though. That's the problem. Is that so we had a cat before that took care of our property, just one, and then we don't know what happened to it. It disappeared. Unfortunately.
Coyotes.
Yeah, or hawks, something. But it was. I mean, we've had it. It was solid, and it can always come in whenever it wanted. But it was an outdoor cat mostly, and it took care of our property. It worked. It was like the little Ukrainian cat. In Ukraine, like most animals don't stay in the house. They're outside working.
Yeah,
they're working on the property. Yeah, they have to have a job.
Yeah.
So this cat had a job.
The pet unemployment rate here is just it's sky high.
Yeah, it's too high, too damn high. But man, it really we've always had some issues with rats, but when we had the cat, nothing. I mean, the rats were never around, no mice. It was awesome. And then once the cat was gone, the rats came back, and it was super evident. Okay, we need to get more cats. Yeah. Yeah,
actually, we had an issue with rats, and they were like in the walls. So we had we had an exterminator come by, and they took care of it. But I always thought like to get a cat with it, but the kids want it to be an inside cat most of all, and I don't want to deal with a litter box.
Right.
So that was, that was the end of that.
My neighbor has a little putting area with a sandbar.
Oh, shit.
So he told me that's the litter box.
Oh, no.
He's like, hey, I found out where your cat shits. And I was like, oh, yeah? Where's that? And he's like, in my bunker. Oh, sorry, bro. He's like, yeah, that's all right. I can't really use that thing.
Yeah, well, now it's just extra incentive to like be better at golf.
Right, exactly.
You know, make sure you
don't
have
get
that
in
shot.
the bunker, bro.
God. Ooh.
Yeah.
And it just stinks, you know. Like I told you my sister had a baby and she has a cat, and so she was worried about getting the toxoplasmosis, you know, from changing the litter box. So she had she had her boyfriend come over and keep changing it, and I was like, well, maybe we'll just get you one of those automatic litter cleaner out thing.
Kind of like robotic thing that spins.
And I went to like Petco or something to look at it. It's like $750. Yeah, we'll probably just keep having that guy come over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll look.
He's worth his weight in gold right now.
Do you? What kind of stroller do you need? You know, that kind of thing. Yeah,
that stroller would be half the price, probably.
It is. Yeah, a good ass stroller, the kind with like the suspension.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. She got the one. I think she got the same kind of one like I had years ago. That had you know the car seat goes in there and you just take it out and it folds up and. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing is so we were talking earlier about looking back at the kids in a certain time. What I don't look back on fondly with either kid is them being a baby. You know, I look back and I'm like, wow, that was not fun.
Right.
You know, it was like, the best part was right when they come out and it's like, wow, I made this. And then
and they don't do anything. It's almost like having puppies. Have you had puppies?
Yeah, we've had one. I got one during COVID.
Well, I mean, having a litter. Like if you had dogs that had a litter. So we've gone through 2 litters and the first 4 weeks aren't that bad. The mom takes care of everything. Like you don't have to do anything. The mom's like on it. Like all you have to do is make sure there's, water in there and she feeds them. Actually, I mean, water for her. I mean, she does everything until they hit that like 4.5 week period and she starts like kicking them out. She's like, hey, get the hell out of my house. It's time for you to go. And then they start eating regular food and then it's hell.
And then they eat couches.
Then you have them like in a pen, you know, and because we have a golden doodle and a F1B golden doodle mini. And then we have a golden retriever. So
F1B?
F1B. They're like a mini golden doodle. So like golden doodles are kind of a little bit big, about a little bit smaller than a golden retriever.
Right.
Our dog is maybe about 32 pounds. So he's smaller. So they're like a mini version of the golden doodle.
Oh, okay.
So we bred and they're golden doodles. And
you're just gonna keep adding words to that thing.
Yeah, golden doodles. And but they're cute dogs, and some look like the golden retriever, and some look like both, and some were little, some were big. They're a little bit all over the place. It's not like a real popular breed, but really smart, great dogs. So we did that twice, and it was a really cool experience. I would actually suggest. I mean, a lot of hate on people breeding out there, but for the most part, I mean, I love rescues. We've had rescues too, but in this case, it's something we wanted to do, and it was a great experience for our kids. Well,
it's funny that you should mention that because when we lived in San Mateo, we just had one kid. I think she was like 3 or 4. We adopted a dog from the shelter because my wife is all about that, and it's like, if I love dogs too, and if there's a dog that's not going to be because. If it's not gonna be taken care of, we'll get a dog. Because I think maybe you met him. His name was Willis. He was a Labrador, yellow lab, and he was 5 years old, and he had got cancer in his urethra, of all things.
Jeez.
And so they kept telling me it's a UTI, it's a UTI, and one day he just passed away from it, And I was like, it's devastating because it's like I thought I had at least 7 or 8 more years with this dog, and he's a young dog, and it's like. I had just had a kid, and now, like, he was like so good with her,
right?
And it was like I wasn't ready to get another dog for a while,
right?
And when I finally was, we went to go adopt this dog. It was a German Shepherd, and she got along well. She really liked my wife. She did not like the baby.
That's weird.
It was really weird because since she was a shelter dog, she really craves that attention and really covets it. But
so that attention was going to the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like there was times when like she snapped and I was like, oh no, we can't now.
No. Yeah.
So we had to bring her back.
Right.
And that's a fucking, that's a cross to bear right there when you're walking in with, hey, this dog didn't work out. And it's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, it snapped at my kid. Like, well, how do you want me to say it? We can't take the dog.
Yeah, we can't take the dog.
And so I was like, let's go and, look for gun dogs at like a, that are kind of trained through it. So you don't have to worry about the fireworks and 4th of July.
Right.
So we did. And, that's where we got Sanford. And he's a yellow lab too. And he's all about the kids. He lays out there with them. They crawl on him. They poke his ears. They put makeup on him, sadly. But like dress him up. And he's over it, because he's like 3 and he's just chill, and it's like that kind of dog it's very hard to not have the trauma from the dog when you get it from a shelter, because it's like a used car. I hate to say that, but it's like a used car where it's like you can check it out and everything, but anything could happen down the road.
Yeah.
And, so we just decided to get this puppy who was, he's from a breeder who, he wasn't a breeder. He just had a dog that he has unneutered.
Yeah.
Because it's a gun dog and they are just better that way.
Right.
And, he got out one day and they tracked down where the mom was. And so, yeah, I mean, he had good taste because it was another lab.
Oh, nice.
And, so it's good. And it's he's perfect family dog, but I would still advocate for picking up a dog at a shelter just because that's a shitty place to be.
It is. So our dog that we had from a shelter was a terrible. It was a terrier pit bull. And it was cute when we first got it. It was about a year old. So it was still pretty young, but we didn't know anywhere where it came from. No idea. In most cases, you don't.
So it was not a pit bull terrier.
It was a pit bull terrier.
Like this?
Terrier.
Like that guy? Like Spuds?
Like Spud. Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
shit.
It was a Spud. And he was a funny dog. Her name was Rosie. And she would sit on her doghouse like Snoopy. Like literally you'd go outside and she'd just be up on her doghouse and just sitting like constantly. It was just so funny.
Weird.
Yeah. And it was a great dog. And unfortunately it didn't listen very well. It was a situation that happened on Sierra College. It ran out on the street in front of my kids.
Fuck.
Yeah. It was pretty bad. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But my son loved that dog. He literally cried for that dog for probably 5 years. Like it took, he had a picture of him and the dog on his wall, and he just loved it so much. And
that's
it was like his
heartbreaking.
dog. Yeah. And now all of our other dogs, he's like, nah. Like, yeah,
because it's not the same.
it's not. And he is just whatever. I have to feed them and clean up their crap, and that's, that sucks for me. Damn, why did we get a dog?
Those are actually pretty rare dogs right
Are
now,
they?
right? Yeah, because they're
have no
not
idea.
being bred very much.
I guess. I mean, back then, I don't know. I didn't even think of it, but I guess you're right because of the whole pit bull,
Yeah.
crap that was happening with like them fighting and all that.
Well, and it's just, I mean, people breed pit bulls still for some reason, but like just the bull terrier, it's just because of that long, I don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
I hardly ever see that.
Yeah.
I don't suppose you got a Bud Light sweatshirt for it, did you?
I should have.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity.
And it was white and black.
Really?
Yeah. It just didn't have like that Bud Light look, I guess. I mean, I guess it did. I have to pull up some pictures now. I'm like, oh.
That Bud Light look? You mean like it got its own can?
Exactly.
He just wasn't wearing the lipstick and eyeshadow?
That's right.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's for a kid like that to be so attached, it's not surprising that he's gonna kind of hold out.
Yeah.
That was his dog. That was his ride
dog.
or die,
Yeah.
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 And to see that happen,
Dude, it was brutal.
that's like super scarring.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't the first time that we had and he was actually, when he was younger, we had another dog. Our first family dog was at Havanese, and his name was Max. And it was just me and Jacob in the front yard, and we had like one of those Tonka or Power Wheels, and Jacob was like in there, and he was probably like 4 years old. and I had Max on a leash, and he had chewed through the leash a little bit at some point. And we were out there, and then hanging out, just me and Jacob. Kids were, my wife had Caitlin, and some lady was walking across the street with her dogs, and she had like 4 dogs. And Max was just going crazy, like just pulling at the rope, like just barking. And then it just snapped. And a car happened to me, or one of our neighbors happened to be driving down the road right at just the wrong time at the wrong place.
Like just too fast to stop, and not fast though, not speeding. But
she
like
was speeding, actually.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Shit.
She was speeding. It's like, just one residential street, and she literally just ran it over, and that was the one that was devastating for me. And that was the first time I had ever actually had like very strong emotions for an animal, because I didn't grow up with animals. Where the way I grew up, I grew up in the hood, and we didn't have any like stable home. I was not like that. So it was like my first dog, and I had to be there when they had to put him down because he was just inoperable. He wouldn't have had a good quality of life to keep him alive. It was really expensive to do it, but also I would have had to like help him pee and poo every day.
Yeah. That was the thing with me. It was like, because I was the same way. I was never really allowed to have a dog because we never had a fence.
Yeah.
And because we lived in Richmond, and it was like all like there was nowhere to walk a dog. We weren't home all the time. So that was kind of my first dog too. And it was just, you feel like there's still so much to go. Right. And for what? It's like there's still so much left, and you got like gypped. Yeah. And it's just, it took me years to get another dog.
Same. That was hard. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had never cried like that over a dog, or any animal. So that was tough.
Well, it's in our DNA to do that, right? Yeah. It's because, I mean, they started out as wolves when we were cavemen, and we were like, hey, you want a little piece of this? Maybe help out next time. And it's like, oh, one of them bit the kids. That one got killed right away. Don't do that anymore. So they're like, okay, let's just not bite kids. Let's hang around, help them get food. And then here we are. Yeah. And now for some reason what started out as a wolf is now a teacup chihuahua, and it's absolutely useless. Absolutely.
Right. Yes. Serves no purpose.
Was a wolf at one point.
Yeah. Serves no purpose but humping your leg.
Yeah. Or biting your toes. Yeah, exactly. And it's just, oh my God, what the hell? Why do you have this dog? Yeah. And my aunt's got 3 of them. And, it's just, her husband was a cop. And so he would always just come home with a new fucking pup, a new fucking chihuahua that like somebody he pulled over was like, fuck this dog, or what,
he's like, damn it, another one.
He's just coming home with these dogs. And so he had to retire because they have 4 dogs now, and it was just too many dogs. Yeah, I don't look forward to that, because it's gonna happen, because dogs don't live that long.
Right. Well, and our golden retriever now, that's like my daughter's dog. And the day that comes, like, it's gonna be horrible. Yeah. And she's going to college after this next year, so she's a junior. So she'll be a senior.
College.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Tell me about it, bro.
So, when she graduated high school, did she get like a graduation? Because it was probably during COVID, right?
No. So she's a junior right now in high school. Oh, she'll be going to college. Sorry.
For some reason, I heard that, and then I for some reason thought she's graduating college.
Yeah, no. Graduating high school, she's going to college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I read there's with all the Palestinian protests that were going on at the campuses, some of them missed out on their graduation. Yeah. And it just so happens like that is the class that they missed out on their graduation from high school because of COVID.
Right. Oh.
And now they're missing out on this because of protesting.
Yes, that's right. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. I heard about that, but I didn't like connect that. That's crazy.
Like for that, like and it's not just a high school graduation, because the high school graduation is like you go and you spend time with your friends and you hang out. It's your last time before you're all separated. They didn't get to do that. And then they go through and they pay, $70,000, $80,000 for a degree that there's less of a chance of them using today than when I went to college.
Right.
And then they still don't get the graduation.
Right.
You know, and it's just, holy shit. How many times can we shit on them? You know, just drop a steamer right on them. How many times before they like freak out and we wonder why this generation is so nuts.
Yeah.
And it's,
yeah.
I mean, when they get to be adults into the real world, then we're going to really see.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say to that.
Have I sufficiently pissed you off? Have I added to your blood pressure?
You know what? I guess I'm thankful that my kids didn't have to go through that. I mean, they did partially. So they were in high school or in junior high when COVID happened. Mm-hmm. And they were able to, they were shut down. Their middle school was completely shut down, just like everybody. But luckily, we were able to find another school that was in Nevada City that was pretty much open. So they got to have like their high school experience. Even like just after COVID, they were still open. They were a small county, so they weren't really counting COVID numbers, and they were able to, go to school and kind of have a regular schooling.
Yeah, that's a medal in itself right there, to find something like that and to be able to give them that experience when nobody else in the country really is able to, or at least nobody else really in the state, because you had Florida and North Carolina that were they could do whatever they want, but but
for California, that was definitely exceptionally to find something like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
We just got lucky because my oldest was not yet in school. So we had the option of like sending her to school that first year for kindergarten, but remote. Yeah. And I was like, why? Why don't I just let her play video games?
Right.
Like, fuck that. We'll just bust out Zelda. If that's the case. So she waited a little bit because she would have been really young for her grade if we went in that time.
Yeah.
And, wait for the next year. And during that time, people still had to they still wore the masks to school, but at least they got to go.
Right.
And then it kind of tapered off and it seems, relatively normal now. I don't see people with the masks or unless they're, of course, Uber drivers alone.
Right. Exactly. Or not even just people driving alone.
Yeah. But yeah. And our daughter, our youngest one, we had when it was during COVID.
Yeah.
And then we decided to get a puppy during COVID because everybody's got this time, and everybody, what's the reasons you don't get a dog? Because you're not home enough. You don't have the time to train it.
Yeah.
Well, we had both. And that was one of the great things about COVID. I try to look at the bright side a little bit.
Right.
All these dogs were it was a great fucking time to be a dog.
Yep.
Because all the people were home and they were still making dog food. So,
A great time to be a dog during COVID.
Yeah. You got to look on the bright side,
That's
Steve.
right.
What else do we have?
That's right.
What else do we have? CNN?
Sorry.
That's you look at, and it's not just CNN, you look at MSNBC or even Fox News, and they're letting all their talent go.
Yep.
And all their talent is still making it work. Like Chris Cuomo, he still has his show and he went off, but Tucker Carlson, he even, they struck him down. He became more powerful.
Yeah.
And, then there's Don Lemon.
Oh.
That was kind of
well, that went downhill after his Elon interview. Yeah. Elon just stepped on him, dude. It was so bad.
Yeah. It's hey, can I have a job? I promise I'll be good. And it's sure, come on out. And then he does, and it's just, man, what the fuck? I remember this story, and I forget, I think maybe I heard it from Star Trek. But there's this otter, or maybe it's a jaguar. It's swimming across the river. And this scorpion comes up and asks, hey jaguar, can you give me a ride so I don't get flooded and I don't die, I don't drown?
Yes.
And then he's like, okay, but you can't sting me.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, I won't sting you. So he gets on his head, he goes and he's halfway across and he stings him. Yep. He's like, what happened? I thought you said you were going to sting me. And he's like, I'm a scorpion.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yep. I've heard that same one, but with a frog. It was a frog and a scorpion.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I see a frog is kind of less believable unless it's a bullfrog.
Yeah.
Because a scorpion.
Bullfrog. Yeah.
Scorpions are relatively sizey, and you get from there to even there.
Yeah.
And, jaguars, they're pretty good swimmers and they've got a lot of muscle.
It's true.
So
Yeah.
I had
Maybe it was a hop.
Oh, it could be.
Get on my back and
it
hop
could be.
over.
Yeah, it could be.
I
But
remember because my buddy had a tattoo of the frog and scorpion.
Oh,
scenario.
really?
Yeah. Yeah, he had a
Oh.
big, it was like a bullfrog and then with a scorpion on the top.
Oh, yeah, so I have a pond out there and I've got some frogs now.
Oh, you need a scorpion.
I don't know about that. I got to go down to Arizona for that. So I got to waste at least like 8 months.
Get recreate it.
But yeah, we discovered frogs there because I was going to stock them full of, I was going to get
Oh
frogs.
yeah, dude, they'll come.
Yeah.
To any pond.
There's 4 of them. They're all bullfrogs. There's Genghis. There
named
is
them, of course.
Attila, Rasputin, and the smallest one is Napoleon.
Nice.
And so they're all out there. They're
Yeah,
chilling.
the complex.
Yeah, they got the complex. Yeah, he was average height for the time. He was average height for the time, Steve.
Does he have like a deformed hand or something?
He won't let any of the ones eat.
There you go.
But so, as we're kind of like getting to the end here, what do you kind of, for somebody that is looking to buy right now,
Okay.
what advice do you have for them?
Buy. Get it. Look, you could refinance. Buy. Get in the house that you want. Because here's what's going to happen. When the rates do come down, I don't ever believe that we're going to see rates like we did.
Like 4, 3.5?
4, 3.5. No.
It was artificially low.
It was artificially low. That was a once in a lifetime for our generation, I feel like. Maybe in another 15, 20, who knows, right? But right now, short term, or even over the next five years, in my guess, we are not going to see that. Possibly 10. We're not going to see that. So buy the house. Get in the house that you want, especially if you're a first-time homeowner. There's never going to be a wrong time. And I'm just the notary side of it, but I watch it very closely. I have to because my business depends on what the market is doing. So I'm constantly watching it, trying to figure out where am I at. I'm talking to my escrow officers, like, where are you guys at with your order counts? Because that's how I can look 30 days ahead, and I can see where we're going to be. But the idea is just buy, get in, and you're going to be able to refi down the road. If the rates go lower, if you buy now at 7%, when the rates do come down, and they drop the rates, because they eventually will. And if they come down 2 points and you're looking at a 5% rate, great, refi, and then you'll be in a better position. Mm-hmm. So, because you can afford it then, and now, and then you'll be able to afford it even more. Yeah.
So, and that's a good point. Because when we went in here, my wife was more worried about like the investment side of it, where a house, it's certainly an investment.
Right.
It certainly is, but it's also a place to live.
Yeah.
And it's at the very, if you have nothing else, if you lose the theoretical money on the house, which you're not going to sell, so it's not real money anyway.
Right.
If you lost that equity or whatever, you're still in a house, you still live there, you have a place to live that you have control over.
Right. Well, and another big thing is everyone is always trying to time the market, whether it's real estate, whether it's the stock market, especially the stock market. And it's never about timing the market. You should never think about trying to time the market. You want to have time in the market. Mm-hmm. So the longer you're in that market, the better you're going to do. And that's the same with stocks. You buy and then you continually incrementally buy and DCA, dollar cost average, into those stocks over a 10-year period. You're going to do way better than the guy that's trying to time the market, who either never got in or got in at the wrong time because he thought he was an expert or was following some expert. So it's always time in the market. And I feel it's the same way with real estate. Most people who have bought real estate over the past 20 years, look at them now. If they bought and held that real estate, what is their portfolio looking like? I have a friend who has about 40 homes, and he's just bought different, groups of homes at certain times, and he rents them out, and most of them are paid off now, and they're triple the value that he bought 20 years ago. So, who was smarter, the guy who tried to time it or the one who just kept buying incrementally and holding and paying off and, being able to rent them out?
Yeah, it's a shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier is get in there, make a little mistake, and just deal with it.
Right.
That's
it.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out and it'll fix itself sometimes, or you'll figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
You know, that's our nature. We're fixers.
That's yeah. That's kind of true. I know I am. At least
I am
with,
too.
With a couple things, but yeah, it's
There's always something that's still broken.
Yeah.
But we're going to get to it.
Well, I like to leave
and
things.
our wife is always going to remind us that is still broken.
I like to leave things just a little tad bit broken so that I'm like, if I didn't fix it right, I was like, oh, well, I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
You know? Well, of course it doesn't work right. I'm still working on it.
Still working on it. I meant to do that.
Yeah.
I meant to leave it like that.
Yeah, the Camaro's got a little leak in it. It'll always have that leak.
That's right.
Always.
Yeah.
Just
and
cool
if it's not in that area, it's going to be in another area.
Yeah.
That's how I like it.
Then the radio won't work. You know? But, all right, Steve.
Awesome, man.
Hey, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks for having me, bro.
Hey, anytime. We'll do it again.
All right.
All right, see you guys.